What's happening, good people? I'm here to record Macro Dirt podcast number 44 with my man Jared D's Nuts Dillion. What's up, brother?
What's up, Snaggle Dick?
Snaggle Dick. That works for me to get us kicked off and on the run here. Macro Dirt podcast number 44. 44, I think of Pistol Pete Maravich, George the Iceman, Gervin, John Riggins, Jerry West, Willie McCovey, Hank Aaron, but you know as well as I do, number 44, who's the GOAT?
Reggie Jackson.
Fucking A, JD. That's why you're my man. You don't swat 3 home runs in a World Series game and not retain the all-time GOAT title in my book.
And by the way, he hit 5 home runs in the series. In the game that he hit 3 home runs, they were all on the first pitch. 3 pitches, 3 home runs.
It was the most unbelievable thing I ever witnessed in my life as a human being in sports, I'm pretty sure. And I was sitting right there on the couch next to my mom, and the son of a bitch knocked 3 ding-dongs out in a World Series game. So, yeah, number 44, Reggie's the GOAT. And let's get right into the markets, JD. I want to talk about a lot of stuff. I want to talk about gold for sure. I want to talk about what you want to kick it off with, though. We got bonds rallying this morning. Start us off with that.
Yeah, I mean, markets opened last night around 6 and bonds are up a little bit. I walked in this morning, they were down a little bit. I mean, basically what happened is the Dallas Fed manufacturing ISM or whatever, it was a disaster. It came in at like minus 34 versus minus 11 expected, right? Mm-hmm. And that's like a third tier piece of data that usually nobody cares about, but it was such a horror show that it got bonds moving a little bit. I still think that bonds put in the lows when 30-year yields peaked above 5%. And I think there's downside in yields to under 4.5, probably around 4.3. So I'm still bullish. I'm still bullish on bonds.
So that was when we were having that crisis of confidence in the U.S. and in the bond market that you were talking about with yields on the highs. Now we've got them coming back, and you like the bond market, right? I like that because that gives us a little something in stocks to lean on. You know, I'm kind of amazed that this number rallied bonds so sharply. This is such a huge week for me, right? We've got month end of April on Wednesday. We've got some BS data in between now and then, but then we've got GDP on Friday overlapping the DirtNap conference. Employment data on Friday overlapping the DirtNap conference down in Pawleys Island. So this is a huge week, and I'm just amazed that Dallas Fed was able to shake the market that much. So,
well, actually, we got one other piece of first tier data, and it's JOLTS.
Oh yeah,
JOLTS is, I think it's tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow or Wednesday. I can't remember. But the job openings is a big one. So
job openings, we'll look for that. I see that on the tape. When is that? I don't see when that is on the tape, but we'll figure it out. What do you think about the stock market here? We're at S&P 5550. The April candle, if you look at it, is a thing of beauty, JD. The April candle is the one that opens up here, cascades down to 4,800, rallies back 1,000 points to where we are now, like nothing ever happened. What do you make of that, my man? What do you think?
I mean, it's definitely bullish. We are, so the 200-day is at 57.57.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're getting to 5,800 in short order. It was, I don't know if I think you did. Yeah, you read my DirtNap this morning, but I had that little conversation between Bob Elliott and Luke Roman.
Yep.
And they were kind of talking about how it feels kind of like May of 2008. And if you remember 2008, Bear Stearns went bankrupt on March 17th, right? And everybody was limit short bearish, right? Like everybody was limit short, and I was bullish. I was like, this is the bottom of sentiment. Like it's absolutely the bottom of sentiment. So what happened was stocks rallied 17% over the next 3 months and squeezed everybody out. and everybody was flat and out of the market in June of '08, right before the main event. And this is what markets do. Like, you can have a core bearish view, but if you can't take the drawdown on the squeeze, like, you have to manage that somehow, either with options or doing something else. But if you can't take that drawdown and retain, so I am bearish. I'm forward bearish. I'm bearish 6 months from now. Like in the fall. But for the time being, like, we are going to continue to squeeze. We're squeezing this morning.
Yeah.
So
I agree. And when you see that, that Goldman Sachs data that came out that shows that, like, the CTAs are as short as they've been in history in the equity market. And then you look over at Scott Bessent, who's saying America first does not mean America alone. And you look at the bond market rallying, gaining a little bit of confidence down on that. And you look at stocks, and you can tell by looking at the last couple of days of trading, they've got no choice but to cover.
yeah.
Just like you said, it's like when there's no downside catalyst and you're short, guess what you do when you wake up? You buy. You know what I mean?
Also, like, we've had like a couple of economist covers. We had the bearish dollar economist cover, which was like the screen painting. Then we had this economist cover. It was like a bald eagle that had the shit kicked out of it and had like bandages on it and stuff like that. Like, that is bullish for U.S. stocks, bonds, and the dollar. Like,
Yeah.
it is bullish for U.S. assets. These economist covers, I don't want to say they're 100% foolproof, but as far as sentiment indicators go, it's about as close as you can get. So,
And the reason that I love them so much is because at the time they come out, it's hard to conceive that they're, calling a top in this thing or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, we should probably talk about the fact that gold is on the cover of Barron's this weekend,
yep.
right? Stacks of gold bars on the cover of Barron's. It happened the weekend after we traded 3,500 at the peak and then collapsed $200. And my point about that is when people that are long gold as a trade see it go 3,500 bid no offer, they don't go sold to you. They put their hands in their pockets and they stand there and watch, and we've got gold backing off now. We've got definitely, like, there was a period that you and I were talking about the gold rally and nobody gave a shit. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody was talking about it. The day that it printed 3,500, I flagged this and you saw it last week. There were 32,000 tweets, hashtag gold, right? And then we got the Wall Street Journal brusher upper on how to invest in gold came out last week. And then the Barron's cover. And now, I've sold a portion of my position, and I'm recommending to my readers that if you've got a trading position on in gold, you're now at risk of missing the highs. So that's how I'm looking at it. It's one of those things where, at the time it's really difficult to conceive, and you look back 3 months from now and you're like, oh my God, how did I not just make the sale and not look back? But I feel like that we're in a position like that with gold right now, especially, like you say, if the bond market and stock market are going to rally. Gold acted as the VIX. Like, gold was the, flight to quality, flight to safety.
Yep.
During the whole tariff de-risking. So there are going to be sellers of gold if we have a ferocious re-risking with, say, Bitcoin taking off like it is now, and maybe stocks get up through those moving averages. It can get hairy. What else do we need to touch on here in the markets, JD? What's top of mind?
So the past 6-8 months, I've really been warming up to Latin America. So first of all, just like 35,000 feet, the U.S. trades at like a 22 PE, and Europe trades at like a 9 or 10 PE. And the rest of the world trades at like a 6 PE. All of Latin America trades at a 6 PE, except for Argentina, which is at 12 now, right? Mm-hmm. But Latin America is moving to the right. Okay, it started with Javier Milei in Argentina. Colombia, Gustavo Petro, the president, is a drug addict. He's absolutely a drug addict, and they're trying to get him out of office. Chile is moving to the right. And the big one is Brazil. Brazil's elections in the fall of 2026. They're going to toss Lula on his ass. Like all of South America is going to go just totally bid. Like if you want to, it's 6 PE. You know, we were talking about like huge dividend yields here. I mean, these are cheap stocks. So
Yeah, and I like the way you look at it with the sort of tectonic plate shift of, these PEs are cheap. We're going to have a re-risking. You better get in the ones that they're going to come after. And I think that makes a lot of sense. But what chart are we buying, JD? What is there a ticker you can give us?
yeah, just go look up the ticker. Go look
All
up the
right,
ticker.
Latin America,
Yeah.
Latin American stocks for the win. Um, What about the oil market, JD? Is there anything to talk about here? This thing still is loitering at the same price every time we come on to talk about it. It's 62 offered. In light trading, it's failed the rally to 63, 64. It's bounced back from 60. I feel like crude oil is so at risk of plopping $20 from here. What do you think?
I mean, I got some busted call options on XLE. There, I mean, they just got, XLE was trading 94 like 3 weeks ago, and like it just got vaporized.
Evaporated,
So,
yeah.
I don't really know what to do here. I tend to agree with you that the risk is to the downside. It just cannot get off its ass. Technically speaking, it cannot get off its ass.
Yeah, and I'm
So
still leaning on that idea that we just broke the downside of a 3-year range, and if the tariffs are going to have any kind of negative knock-on effect on the economy, that can be the catalyst for a serious pullback in oil. And I don't know if I definitely want to just go out there and pound and get short the stocks, or I would want to stay in the commodity. I'd want to see jet fuel and gasoline lagging lower, which they're kind of doing because there's plenty of finished products in the harbor. And sometimes it's all at once, and sometimes I feel like that's just a trade that can unravel $10 one morning when you wake up, and it shouldn't shock anybody. So, for the stock market, we're kind of sitting here, like we've said, in no man's land. We're at 5,600 in the S&P. That's resistance because that was the bottom of the cupcake sell-off. You've got 50-day resistance just up above at like 56 and three quarters. And I don't really want to buy anything unless we get close to last week's lows, which are down at 5,100. So for me, not a lot to do but get on the road and come down and visit JD and Paulie's Island for the Dirt Nap conference this weekend. You fired up for that or what?
yeah, I loaded up the car today with all the stuff I got to bring over there. I'm gonna go over there this afternoon and check the sound one last time. I'm a little paranoid about that, so I got to check that. We got some great speakers. There is a surprise with this conference that I'm going to announce at the conference.
Oh,
Um,
baby.
yep.
You're going to have a stripper?
Yeah, it's gonna be me.
That would surprise the shit out of everyone. That's for sure. No, man, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, how often do I get to speak before Grant Williams, for fuck's sakes, who's literally one of my favorite speakers in finance? So I'm really excited about that, and to meet a lot of your clients and my clients, as with the dual sub, we now have a lot of overlap. And so I'm really excited for the social side of it. I think that's going to be great.
Yep.
And let's go off topic, JD, off the markets while we're in the middle of a quiet no man's land week here. What's coming to mind? What's jumping out at you off the screens that isn't a security that you can trade?
Well, I got a couple of DJ gigs coming up that are pretty big actually.
Oh, you got this one in Vegas, right?
Yeah, so May 30th, which is coming up pretty soon, I'm playing in Vegas. They used to call it the Wet Republic Pool Party. Now they call it Palm Tree Beach Club.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the MGM Grand. I'm the opener. I'm playing from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on a Friday. So actually, I went through my music for that this weekend, and I'm pretty much all set for that.
What else?
And then July 17th, and I want people to pay attention to this. If you are watching the Macro Dirt and you live within 100 miles of Nashville, you have to come to this, right? So I am throwing a party at a club called Night We Met. which is in the Gulch in Nashville. It's a new club. It's been open, I want to say, about a year, and it's fantastic, right?
Really?
And yeah, so what we're gonna do is, it's actually free. I'm not charging admission. I'm gonna give you the link, TG, to put into the YouTube comments,
Yeah.
and people can just RSVP through the link.
Mhm.
And please come. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. So
Man, I don't need an excuse at all to go to Nashville. So if that fits my schedule, it's something that I look into, man. It's like my favorite city in the country right now, and I go several times a year. I literally can't get enough of the place. So that sounds good. I'm excited for you, man. I haven't seen one of your shows in a while, so hopefully I'll be able to check it out or something like that.
yeah, it's I think it's Thursday or Friday, July 17th. So
Got it.
yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I tell you what I'm stoked about lately is Cornell lacrosse ranked #1 in the country, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun spring. We're going to make another run at a national title led by the best college lacrosse player maybe in history right now, a guy named CJ Kirst, a young man from New Jersey. He just won the all-time goal scoring record in college lacrosse. He's got 275 goals in 61 games now. Literally a world beater. What's cool about him is that he's got 4 brothers. All of them played NCAA lacrosse. His father is a New Jersey Hall of Fame lacrosse guy, so the apple didn't fall far from the tree. And now this kid is up to win the Two Wharton Award, which is the award for the best college player in the country, and it's basically his to lose. So he's just got to show up sober for the rest of the run here and win the biggest accolade in the sport. So that's really exciting for,
Wow.
yeah, for my school, my
Do
former
they
team.
still have the professional lacrosse league? Do they still have that?
Oh yeah, there's kind of 2 forms of that. There's the indoor lacrosse league, which is the traditional professional lacrosse league. That's where it's a lot like hockey. There's a lot of fighting. It's a really rough game, like predominantly Canadian game. And then there's the Premier Lacrosse League, which is the new version of the outdoor sport that was started by one of the sort of Hall of Fame players of the game named Paul Rabel, guy who played at Hopkins and is a successful businessman in the sport. He's also got the backing of Joe Tsai, who is a Yale lacrosse graduate that's one of the co-founders of Alibaba. So it's safe to say that the league has got plenty of money to survive in any way, shape, or form that it needs to, but it is a fun version of the sport, without a doubt. One of my best friends coached one of the teams, coached the Carolina Chaos for the first several years of their existence, and it was a lot of fun to follow them. They won a championship, and it's a great version of lacrosse to watch. So the game, it's still the fastest sport on 2 feet, the fastest growing sport on 2 feet, and it's still really not on primetime television, so maybe one day. But that's it. What else going on off market, JD? Anything? Or are we wrapping this up?
It's on ESPN, the Ocho.
Yeah, exactly. It's on ESPN 12 in Spanish at midnight. Yeah, that's kind of where it is right now in terms of viewing, but that's okay. That's okay. JD, I think we covered it all, man. We got a conference to throw down. We've got your DJ gigs ahead on the calendar. I think that was Macro Dirt Podcast number 44, right?
Yeah, outstanding.
Outstanding. Hasta la vagina, everybody.
Hasta la vagina.